We've made it! Christmas Eve, the holidays are upon us, and with them, hopefully, a quiet and relaxing time. We will certainly have a nice and relaxing channel update. Welcome to the Soft Skill channel. My name is Sebastian Jung and I welcome you to the channel update December. We are celebrating Christmas Eve in Germany and holidays are upcoming. Out of sheer malice of the calendar, those public holidays fall on Saturday and Sunday where they are pretty much wasted, but nonetheless it is a nice time that most people spend with friends and family, and hopefully it is a nice and quiet and relaxing time. Let's have a look at our recent topics. In the last few weeks, we discussed inductive, deductive and abductive reasoning. This video was a bit of a follow-up to the book review of Nassim Taleb's Black Swan, because their induction was an important topic and I thought it would be nice to have a look at the whole package of inductive, deductive and abductive reasoning, and that we did. Quite interesting, I think. And after that, we had another soft skill talk, this time about working while being sick. At first I thought this would be a topic where good sources are hard to come by, but actually I found lots of materials, several hundred pages of studies and reviews and stuff, so it turned out quite an interesting and quite research-heavy video with a lot of interesting facts and numbers. And after that, I presented to you the fast food method, a nice method I created to deal with routine tasks such as housework more smoothly and easily and hopefully a bit faster. And finally, there was a book review, and I think this was one of the highlights of this year, the book review of Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. Last channel update, when I announced that this video would be coming, I still said, I'm not sure if I will be able to make it, because it is a rather big task. It is quite an extensive book, about 400 pages, lots of interesting topics, lots of materials, and it was quite a challenge, and I'm very happy that I made it, that I finished this video in time, and that I was able to present it to you. And I think it turned out quite nicely. Interesting video, great book of course. And together with The Black Swan by Nassim Taleb, it laid a nice foundation, a nice groundwork for further exploration of this topic of biases and fallacies. Speaking about upcoming topics, what is there to come in the next couple of weeks? After this channel update incidentally ended up on Christmas Eve, the next video will be on New Year's Eve. So I selected the topic that came to mind first, New Year's resolutions. I've collected a couple of tips, a bit of advice on how to actually realize those New Year's resolutions, and I will present them to you. After that, for the first time, we will discuss a specific individual bias or fallacy, and this time we will talk about the so-called Barnum effect. The Barnum effect is quite interesting and also quite important, because it is the reason things like astrology still prevail in this day and age, and unscientific, problematic methods like personality tests like DISC, Insights or MBTI are still popular. So the Barnum effect is rather important, and it somewhat closes the gap between the topic of biases and fallacies on one side and the topic of soft skills and all the things that can go wrong there on the other side. So it is quite interesting, and it is a topic that is rather important for me. And of course, there will also be a book review. I wondered which book would be a good fit for this occasion, for the first book review in the new year. And finally, I ended up with a new book by Friedemann Schulz von Thun called, literally translated, A Fulfilled Life. Unfortunately, there probably won't be an English translation again. I'm sorry about that. But it is nonetheless a good fit, because I think this change of the year, transition from the old to the new year, is a time where a lot of people have a look at their life and wonder, how is my life going at the moment? What do I want to change in the new year? Which direction do I want to take? And so I thought a book that looks at life as a whole was a good fit for this occasion. And it was also a book I was quite interested in, because, as you know, all the previous books by Schulz von Thun dealt with the topic of communication. I presented a lot of his models and theories to you, and they were all about communication. So it was interesting to see that Schulz von Thun now wrote a book about a different topic, about life as a whole and a fulfilled life, and what is a fulfilled life, how do you live a fulfilled life, things like that. So I was quite curious to have a look at that, and so I did. And for a change, this is also a book where I present a book review rather close to the initial publication. Most of the books I've presented before already are a couple of years old. This one is rather new for a change. Now, apart from the preview and the look back, I'd say in this December channel update we have a small look back at the passing year and the developments at the Soft Skill channel. I have prepared a nice cup of tea, and so let's have a look back. About the middle of the year, we celebrated our 1-year anniversary, which was a quite a nice milestone and quite a happy occasion for us. And around the same time, the English channel surpassed 100 subscribers, which also was great and quite a happy occasion for us. Recently, in the last couple of weeks, the English channel successfully surpassed 200 subscribers. We also surpassed 500 on the German channel, so both channels developed nicely throughout this year and made nice progress. And this was also the first full calendar year with the Soft Skill channel. The first year from January to December that the Soft Skill channel existed. And this was also quite nice and a nice achievement. And we actually managed to create and present a new video every week, every Friday, for an entire calendar year, and this is also quite a nice achievement for us, and we are quite happy we managed to do that. And it was also interesting to see how a year develops, to kind of see the seasons that a YouTube channel goes through. For example, we noticed that during summer there are less views, less new subscribers and everything than in autumn and winter and spring. And it was quite interesting to see how the change of seasons affects YouTube performance. Based on this, we will probably, in the next year, we will probably have a short break in the summertime where interest isn't as high. We will probably take use this as an occasion to have a short break so we can do some catching up, make some preparations for future videos, but we will talk about this more in the January update. In the recent month, we introduced a new format to the Soft Skill channel, Soft Skill Talks. And we will continue this format in the new year and create further entries for this format. So far, I think the distinction is still a bit muddy. The video about being at work while being sick probably ended up rather research heavy for a soft skill talk. I guess currently the distinction isn't that sharp, but over time I think the distinction will become clearer, develop more, and I think Soft Skill Talks will be a nice addition to the channel and to our video library. And of course, there were plenty of interesting and exciting topics in this year. To name just a few examples, we finally finished the Miteinander reden, literally translated talking to each other, series of books by Schulz von Thun. We presented all the models, all the important topics from this series with 3 to 4 volumes, 3 main volumes plus question and answers, additional volume. And I'm quite happy that we have this range of topics on the channel. And as I mentioned before, in regard to the topic of biases and fallacies, we laid a pretty good, pretty solid foundation with the book reviews of The Black Swan and Thinking Fast and Slow, and we will later build upon this foundation. There will probably be a book review of Nudge by Thaler and Sunstein in the new year, and we will have a look at individual specific biases and fallacies, such as the Barnum effect, in a few weeks. And speaking about foundations, we also added some nice additional videos to our About Soft Skills series that provide some basic knowledge for understanding what the channel is about and what this topic of soft skills actually is. We released the video Are Soft Skills Just Scams? And also the video Can You Trust Me? And I think both of them are quite important and quite helpful in understanding what soft skills are, what the problems in this area are, and how to navigate this difficult subject. And I also created a video about work-life balance, what work-life balance actually is. And I think this is also quite helpful in better understanding the foundations of this topic and this channel. In regard to our own private and personal lives, 2021 was a rather good year. Now, obviously, it had its ups and downs, and it had some severe downs, of course. However, overall, I think it was a year where we made lots of progress and a year that had a lot of change for the better. And I certainly hope this development will continue next year. I am aware, of course, especially due to the ongoing COVID pandemic, that this was probably a very problematic and difficult year for a lot of you, and I hope that all of you made it through this year well, and for all of you who had severe problems or even tragedies in this passing year, I hope that the next year will be better, will provide some changes for the better, and some relief. I think this change of years, end of the year, beginning of the new year, is a good time to have a short look back in your life, to recall and to cherish the highlights of this year and your biggest achievements, and to celebrate them and to be aware of them. We talked about this before in another channel update. And it is probably also a good time to finish and conclude some of the crises and problems and bad things of the year, and to try to get some closure for those. I hope you have nice and relaxing holidays, have some peace and quiet, and I hope you will be with us again in the new year. There are certainly plenty more exciting topics to explore. For today, I'll take my leave. Have a nice evening, happy holidays, see you next time.